This was a totally unexpected chapter that did not go the way you were expecting it to. We had two major deaths this chapter, two very important deaths, and we had Takaba show up and he's about to fight Kenjaku, and he actually tanked one of Kenjaku's attacks very easily. But the question I have to ask, where is Yuta? Where is he right now? Because a lot of people thought that he wasn't fighting Sukuna because he was actually fighting Kenjaku, but it appears he's not here. And we also got some more Higuruma hype as well. Man, there's just so much to talk about. You're definitely going to want to stick around all the way until the end of this one because these leaks were just crazy. So hey, do be solid and leave a like, it helps out a ton, thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. A ton of spoiler videos on chapters, crazy theory videos, power scaling videos, analysis, because less than 10% of people who actually watch my videos are subscribed. So trust me, if you love JJK and you want to see a ton of JJK content, you will not regret subscribing. And of course, thank you to the special members of the channel. Alright, let us get into the spoiler leaks video. So the chapter starts off with a change of a point of view. We actually started with a girl with rolled hair running away from someone. And the title of the chapter is actually Baka Stupid Survivor. Now it's actually debatable on who this is, right? So I actually thought at first it may have been Uro because she has the same blacked out eyes and even her facial structure looks the exact same and her hair color is the same, it's the same length, though of course the hairstyle is different now, and she even has a very similar body type to Uro. But of course what's different is, one, she's in different clothing, so I actually thought it was a maid's outfit, but apparently someone who was actually in my live stream chat corrected me and said it's gothic Lolita clothing. So why she was wearing that, I'm not too sure. Maybe she was trying to blend into the crowd to hide from Kenjaku. That is a pretty funny reason. But of course we later learn that Kenjaku has spies everywhere, and I'll touch on that later. Though of course it's possible it's not Uro, even though she looks exactly like Uro and she's even talking like Uro speaks, and I'll explain this later on. But to continue with the leaks, whoever this person is angry at Kenjaku for everything that's happening in the culling game. She asks, isn't it too cruel to give them life once again by turning them into cursed objects, but now to take away their lives once again? And yeah, and it is pretty cruel since the idea of Kenjaku, the whole culling game, since the beginning he's planned it out that the only survivors would be him and Sukuna, so that's the whole plan for him to create the merger. It is pretty evil and twisted the fact that he promised everyone a second chance at life. They could have another go at life, right? If they just turn into cursed objects, suffer for hundreds or thousands of years as a cursed object in the underworld or the cursed realm, whatever you think it is, just for them to get killed by Kenjaku later on. So Kenjaku really is evil. He really sold them a false dream. Now, whoever this girl is, they get trapped in a jellyfish cursed spirit, and Kenjaku actually says, if it's too tasteless, I'll add more flavor. If it's too strong, I'll add more of the original. You people are like seasoning and water. I don't have any particular feelings to you. So pretty much showing us that he's probably a sociopath, a psychopath, you know, whatever you think it is, whatever you're gonna diagnose him as, but he's just crazy, right? He's a very evil man who's lived a very long time. Now, whoever this is actually tries to fight back, and it's very weird because they basically turn their hair into a sort of attack and it makes a spiral. These spiral attacks looks very similar to, in case you actually just saw the Shibuya anime recently, to Ino's technique where he makes that spiral spear that he can shoot. Or it even looks like Rudius' stone cannon from Mushoku Tensei, if you actually have been watching season 2 or if you've read the light novel. Now, because of this, people are saying that this isn't Uro because this technique, it's not Uro's technique, right? She's just manipulating her hair to create this weird hair-like structure, and she fires at Kenjaku. And I will admit, it probably isn't, you know, maybe she's using the sky to manipulate her hair, but then that doesn't explain how she makes this weird attack, like this spherical attack. Maybe that's a part of the sky, like she's twisted her hair, used the sky to make it into this attack and fires it that way. It's a pretty big stretch. It probably is Uro, like I really do think it's Uro, but it really could just be someone else entirely new that we've never seen before, because the technique just doesn't look like it's the sky. You can stretch it and maybe say it's an extension technique, but it's something we've never seen from Uro. So I hope it's not Uro because I really don't want Uro to die, but unfortunately it looks like she might probably be dead. And then Kenjaku goes on this whole monologue, and even after Uro or whoever this is dies, he still goes on this monologue. So basically what he says is, even though I don't have feeling towards you people, I sometimes feel like you guys are too good to waste. This guy is definitely insane. Kenny tells that he applied cursed objects on reincarnated ones and a cursed symbol on the awakened ones, so it's easy to track them down. And then someone else arrives and asks Kenny why he's still talking to her while she's still dead. And of course we see that this is actually Hazenoki. In case you guys don't remember, Iori Hazenoki is basically the bomb guy who seems to be a very powerful grade 1 where we've never actually gotten to see him fight at full power. I guess this chapter was that, where basically he can make any of his body parts into explosives. So you can rip his eye out, throw it, and it'll be a very powerful explosive. But of course he has reverse curse technique, which is incredible. There's very few characters that have that. There are even some special grades that don't have reverse curse technique, so just having that is incredible. Though of course we know having reverse curse technique isn't actually a strength thing like a domain expansion, it's more so a knowledge thing, though it is more consistent that the ones who have reverse curse technique almost every time tend to be the stronger characters. Kenjaku jokes about who's qualified to be his friend. They shouldn't be a bore to Kenjaku and they should be on his level. And Hazenoki refused to be Kenjaku's friend because he said he's had enough with people with long hair, potentially referring to Reggie since Reggie also has very long hair. And man, this was just crazy to see because the moment Hazenoki came up on the screen, you can even see my live reaction. I'm like, yep, this guy is dead. He stands no chance against Kenjaku. I thought maybe the best case, since we actually got earlier leaks that Takaba was going to appear, I thought maybe Takaba would actually come in and save Hazenoki, but no, it seems like at the end of the chapter, Takaba comes in right after he's died, which is really funny. Like, he just comes in at the worst time. He doesn't have the best timing in the world. Unlike with Megumi, where he came in just in time to save him when Megumi was actually about to be killed by Hazenoki's bomb, or it would have done at least serious damage to him. Hazenoki proceeds to mock him like, oh, you sure like talking to yourself. I guess that's what happens when you live too long. And Kenjaku says something that's pretty depressing, because my friends get fewer and fewer. Alright, that's pretty sad, Kenjaku. And then we have this hilarious moment where, and I joked about this so many times in so many videos and streams in case you're unaware, that Kenjaku was probably watching the fight on his iPhone, right? On his phone this entire time. I'd made this joke where, if you're a long time viewer of the channel, you'd know where he was basically fighting all the sorcerers and killing off all the Culling Game players while he was basically listening to the fight, because Mei streaming this whole fight for everyone in the world to see. He was just listening to it on his phone, like in podcast or an audio book or something. And it seems like it really is true. He pulls out of his monk robes, he's watching the fight on stream, and in 4K, in probably 60 FPS 4K, we see Gojo has died, the dissected one, and Kenjaku, he mocks him, he makes a very funny joke about it, saying, Gojo's got a good looking face right there as Gojo's dead, and that is just hilarious. And also Hazenoki pulls out his phone to watch as well. It's pretty funny, they're just kind of chilling. Kenjaku's laying down like he's at home on the sofa. Hazenoki's watching like it's a sports game on his phone, got a hand in his pocket like, oh wow, Gojo's dead, it is what it is. And it's really cool because Kenjaku realizes that Sukuna actually expanded his curse technique to target the world and take down Gojo, so I'm surprised he was able to even notice something like that. Kenjaku then proceeds to explain that he left his curses at Shinjuku to monitor, and basically we see in the pictures that there's a bunch of crab-like curse spirits, a whole bunch of them, so I'm guessing they're acting like Kenjaku's spies. Man, the whole curse spirit manipulation is so OP because he just has a plethora of curse spirits everywhere, just monitoring everything for him, and it gets even crazier when we consider the fact that Kenjaku says that he shares the sight with his curse spirits. This guy is just so broken, not even including his gravity curse technique and his body swapping curse technique and his open domain and whatever else curse technique that he has, because Yuki did theorize Kenjaku has one more curse technique up his sleeve that's probably a one-time use. And Kenjaku says he'll know if anyone left Shinjuku based on the total amount of cursed energy, and he also knows the amount of cursed energy each sorcerer has, and Yuta, who's second, is especially notable. It's really funny, even after Gojo dies, Yuta's still the second at everything. He's the second strongest, he's got the second best Shikigami because Mahoraga's around. And even after Gojo dies, he's still the second strongest because Sukuna took his title as the strongest. And then of course, even when it comes to cursed energy, he's got the second most amount. He's second to Sukuna. It's really funny, Yuta just happens to be the second at everything for some reason. Kenjaku further adds that they have an awakened physically gifted Zenin Maki, along with Mei's little brother, Iori, who has most likely a spatial teleportation type curse technique. It's risky to plan against the sorcerers. It's really funny how he says the biggest threats are Maki and Ui, and I really want to say this really does push heavily my theory that I've had for a while, that I do really believe that Ui and Mei are both part of the Gojo clan. I think they probably left the Gojo clan, whether they kicked out or they left on their own accords, because it's actually been confirmed that both of them don't have last names. It's just Mei and Ui. They don't have a family name. They probably discarded it just like Toji after they left the clan, but it's considering the fact that they both have white hair, and especially the anime, they both look so much like they're from the Gojo clan, especially Ui. Ui looks just like he's Gojo's kid, or he's a kid version of Gojo. And of course, expanding on that, the fact that Ui has a spatial teleportation curse technique, so this was confirmed a very long time ago already, just before the Sakurajima colony, that Ui has a teleportation curse technique. But again, the whole thing about the Gojo clan and the whole abilities tend to link to space control, right? And he has a spatial manipulation curse technique. I'm just saying it's probably likely that they were Gojo clan members. And we see in the next page, Kenjaku just jumps Hazenoki. I'm like, alright Kenjaku, why'd you go to this? You guys are having a great moment, you were chilling as friends, you were talking, you're having a good laugh, even though Hazenoki said he never want to be a friend. But still, it was a pretty wholesome moment, and out of nowhere, Hazenoki gets jumped by a plethora of curses. He throws his teeth at them to basically try and attack them and blow them up, and the curses just swarm him, like they're coming at every single angle. He throws his eye at one to blow it up, but he just gets skewered in the neck by multiple of these sort of, they look like Pokemon, I guess, like plant type curse spirits that can fly, and they just skewer his neck. The panel where Kenjaku is walking up to Hazenoki as he's getting jumped is pretty insane. He's fully silhouetted just like Sukuna was when he was approaching Kashima with his Vajra. And you know how crazy that is for you to have a Sukuna parallel? Though of course, unlike Sukuna, he doesn't have a whole bunch of cursed energy swarming him, so of course he's not on that level, but it's still pretty crazy. And then pretty much Kenjaku explains everything he says to Hazenoki we already know, so I imagine GEGE is just recapping for the audience in case they forgot. But the whole plan of Tengen, you know, he needs to kill all the players and he can start the merger, and he just has this insanely menacing look on his face as he's looking down. Like he's fully blacked out, like purely blacked out, and all you see are the whites in his eyes and the stitch marks on his forehead, and it looks terrifying. And then Kenjaku asks Hazenoki, don't you want to make sure if something you thought is interesting is true or not? Isn't that what living is all about? And before dying, Hazenoki says probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Hazenoki tells Kenjaku to look at his own shit every morning to satisfy his curiosity. Oh my god, what a burn. He may have died, but that is some damage right there to Kenjaku. And as he dies, we see walking up the road is Takaba, and he appears to be singing. I don't know what he's singing, right? I can't read Japanese. Kenjaku thinks, oh, this guy's fodder. He's like, whoever this is, I'm just gonna one-shot them. And Kenjaku says that he doesn't have any interest in any awakened players except Higuruma, which makes sense since Higuruma is so powerful, and he was the only awakened player that actually got over 100 points. The only other person was Kashimo, but Kashimo wasn't an awakened player, he was an incarnated player. And he sends a swarm of cursed spirits to basically just one-shot Takaba, and it seems like these cursed spirits might be the same ones that he fired at Yuji during Shibuya. Maybe, I may be wrong, but Takaba eats it like it's nothing. Seriously, he just eats it like he's nothing. And then Kenjaku has this hilarious expression on his face, like, how did he survive that? How did he survive that attack? Takaba curses at Kenjaku saying, you damn monk, you tried to kill me, I'm not forgiving you. Gonna get your ass in jail. And Kenjaku feels like there's something off with Takaba. Kenjaku thinks, what was that? It's the first time I felt anything like that. It wasn't like there was no damage, it's like he made it so there was no damage. And then of course, in the last page, we have the two of them staring each other down. Takaba says there's a lot of things to get excited for in the world, but the number one thing to get excited for is when an entertainer is only there to match their numbers, to take the whole show. Kenjaku says, you're right. And of course, the chapter ends there. What a phenomenal chapter. And I do want to get into the whole fact that I do think Takaba would do really well. His curse technique is very suited to, especially stalling out stronger opponents, but I do question how long is Takaba going to survive. Is this going to be a whole case where, oh, Kashimo showed up last chapter, he's so hyped, he's going to do so well. Next chapter, instant death, no diff. Because even though Takaba probably would last a pretty decent while against Kenjaku in base, the issue is a domain expansion. Domain expansion would bypass any sort of defense that Takaba's curse technique would provide him, since that's what a domain expansion does. It completely bypasses it, and it would directly hit the opponent, and it would instantly kill Takaba. Like, there's no question. Maybe he would be on death's door after it, then he could just spam another sure hit after sure hit. The only way I see Takaba surviving is if maybe Yuta or someone is in the shadows and is going to help him, or someone else with a domain, or if Takaba has his own domain expansion. Now, that would be pretty crazy, and it's so unlikely, but I really doubt it. Maybe it's true. Maybe he thinks it's funny if there was a domain and he activates it, but probably not. I've seen a lot of great theories that his domain expansion would be basically like a stand-up comedy show. So it'd be like Higuruma's, where there's no lethal sure hit, but you have to play by the rules. So maybe everyone who gets trapped in his domain has to sit like an audience member for his show, and he's got a stand-up mic and he's just telling jokes and all that. That would be a very cool domain expansion. But other than that, realistically, I just truly see Takaba doing maybe pretty well, like he's surviving for a while, but then he just dies instantly against Kenjaku's open domain expansion. That just bypasses his curse technique and kills him. Again, unless some external factor comes in to help Takaba. But it is not looking good for Takaba right now. I'm just gotta be honest. And I've learned my lesson with Kashimo and with Yorozu and with Ryu and with Gojo, not to hype these guys up too much, especially with what just happened with Kashimo. I'm gonna really set my expectations really low. If Takaba does amazing, that's great. I'll be very happy, but realistically, Kenjaku is going to destroy him. And another thing I want to bring up is, where is Yuta Okotsu? So initially what everyone was saying was, oh, he's not here because he's actually chilling with Kenjaku. He's fighting Kenjaku right now, and that's why he didn't show up with Higuruma and Yuji to fight Sukuna. But no, he's not with Kenjaku right now, so it seems like he's still hiding with Maki at the main base and all the monitors and all that. Now there's two answers I could give. The first agenda answer is, wow, what a joke Yuta is, right? He's supposed to be the insurance in quotes, and this is where he is. Like, he's probably run away all the way back to Africa or Sendai Colony or something. Like, he just probably ran far away. He saw Gojo and Kashimo get clapped, and with his tail between his legs, he has just run scared, fearing for his life. That's my agenda answer. But if you want the actual objective answer, it seems like whatever Yuta has, whether it's Jacob's Ladder or it's the 6 Eyes Unlimited, like whatever he's copied or whatever crazy technique that he's got stored up that's gonna make him the insurance, it seems like it's just not the right time to use it, and he's probably saving it for Sukuna, if I had to guess, and not Kenjaku. So they're just gonna leave Kenjaku be and try and kill Sukuna, and probably they'll fight Kenjaku later on when Kenjaku's done killing all the other culling game players. So I think that's why we haven't seen Yuta yet, and he's probably got something very big that we haven't seen. I mean, I said the same thing about Kashimo, and look how that turned out, but it's Yuta. Yuta is the golden boy of JJK. Literally everyone and their mothers except me love him so much. I mean, even GEGE loves him so much, and it really does feel like Yuta might even be a self-insert of GEGE. How this guy is just undefeated. Yuta's winning all of his fights. He looks like an absolute Chad Lord, and he's just cooking. Like, he's actually cooking everyone. He's got the narrator wanking him every single second. He's the god of everything. So if anyone's gonna do something big, it's probably gonna be Yuta, and I do think the longer we don't see him, it's actually gonna make it more likely that he's gonna do something crazy, because he's probably saving something really crazy for Yuta that he's gonna save all the way until the end. And as much as I hate to say it, it's probably the truth. Whatever Yuta's got hidden, it's gonna be super crazy. But I do want to talk about the insane amount of deaths. So Hazenoki got clapped, makes sense. Takaba probably gonna get clapped soon, and whether this was Uro or not, it still seems like it's just another death in JJK. Though it is more important if it's Uro, because I got a question, why didn't she cast Domain Expansion, or why didn't she use the sky to remove the jellyfish? I really hope it's not Uro, because Uro dying that easily is an absolute joke. Seriously, it is just a mockery of how powerful she is. It is such a disgusting showing. So even though she looks exactly like Uro, and it should be Uro, I'm just gonna pray that it's not, and the technique be with the hair thing means that it's not Uro, because because damn, that is a horrible way for my girl Uro to go out. And a lot of people were also disappointed that we didn't get the whole Yuji, Sukuna, Higuruma part and saying, oh, this is a garbage chapter, this is a horrible chapter. Everyone's spamming that in my chats. I get maybe you're disappointed we didn't get Yuji, but this chapter was really good. Like, it's not a great chapter, it's not a amazing hype chapter, but it's still a really good chapter. There's nothing wrong with it. If anything, I actually thought it was very entertaining. Seeing Kenjaku a lot, I mean, I love Kenjaku as well. Seeing Takaba be very funny. The moments of Hazenoki when he pulled out his phone. I like the chapter. I do think people are really spoiled with all the crazy hype chapters we get, where when we actually get a normal chapter that's still really good, people are saying this was garbage, or this is horrible, GEGE fell off, or they're saying it's a filler chapter. It's just so disrespectful. I mean, we got potentially Uro, Kenjaku, Hazenoki, Takaba. Come on, how can you hate this chapter? We've got some amazing funny moments and dialogue. Personally, I thought it was really good. I loved it. But hey, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like. It helps out a ton. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content just like this. Like I said in the beginning of the video, over 90% of people who actually watch my videos aren't subscribed. So if you want to see a ton of crazy spoiler videos just like this one, crazy theory videos, analysis videos, power scaling, be sure to subscribe, because trust me, if you love JJK, you will not regret subscribing to this channel. And of course, thank you to all of the channel members as well. It is much appreciated as always, guys. But that's all from me. Have a nice day and take care.